Hi guys, I am going to walk you through what you're going to want to do to generate the line work as well as starting on your black and white and colored axons for project one. So we have some towers that you guys have designed, right? These are the ones I made in my last video. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by changing our view from perspective to isometric, right? And so this is what we call the parallel view. And this is just a way for us to work in parallel, right? So an ISO is specifically one of these four views, right? So I had picked Northwest, and I kind of don't love the angle of this tower. So what I can do is I can rotate it 90 degrees. Not quite what I want. Another 90 degrees. That's more of a cool, I think this is more of a cool angle, but let's just see what this looks like. Yeah, I think I liked it last. So if I undo, I really like this view of this tower. And so what I would like to do is zoom in on this. And this is essentially my axon. I want to highlight all of this. And I want to type make 2D. And we're going to turn hidden lines on, right? And we're also going to have scene silhouette on as well. And then we're going to type in the layer name, because it's going to create a new layer for this. We're going to type line work. Go ahead and hit enter. And so what this does in top view is it generates line work. And what you can see that has happened is it has kept the color of our interior and exterior faces, as well as shown us the hidden lines, what are happening behind the closed surfaces. So I'm going to move my camera so you can come over here and take a peek at this. If you look in your layers, you'll see this line work layer has been created, as well as some layers within that layer. If you didn't know this, you can make layers inside of layers, kind of like folders. You can group them together. But if you start to like toggle these, like the visible lines are just the lines in front, the hidden lines are just the lines behind, right? And so what we have here is a series of, we have our cube. What I would love to see the names here. Yeah, we have our curves and our scene silhouette. It does not look like it generated much, but I digress. Basically, we have this line work that we've generated of our object. And so what we can do is we can start to take this and play around with the line weights of it. So if we type in a command called layout, this is a page that we're generating. So we can call this page, for example, or we'll call this black and white axon. Black and white axon. Our width is going to be 18 inches, and our height is going to be 18 inches. That's what the deliverable is. If we go ahead and hit OK, it will bring us to here. So right now our axo is scaleless, and that is okay. So we can just kind of center the plot on this. And when you double click into this view, it lets you edit what's in the view. And then when you double click outside, it brings you back to the page. If you've ever worked in CAD before, this is a sheet view. Revit as well is the same concept. So we have this line work that we've generated from our 3D object. However, if you'll notice, one of our issues is that we basically don't have any line weights in Rhino. I want to show you how to generate separate line weights in Rhino so you could plot directly from Rhino if you wanted to. I personally prefer getting everything into Illustrator and organizing my lines in Rhino to export to Illustrator to clean up, but we want to clean up our drawings and make sure that everything is good to go in Rhino before we get it into Illustrator. So we have these lovely folders that have already been created. So if I click on this line work, we can see, and so right now I'm going to actually get out of this view. If I go down to these tabs, I can go back to my top view. So I'm just doing that so I can zoom in and out without decentering my plot. So it's kind of helpful for me to have this view side by side. So I can just drag these lines down. These are adjustable, in case you didn't know, just so I have a glimpse of what's going on over here. All right, so just so I can compare back, it looks pretty accurate. And it looks like sometimes we have a hidden line that should technically be, or a part of it should be solid filled. So what we're going to do is we are going to turn off our hidden lines. And we're going to fill in some of these spaces. The scene silhouette, it looks like, only generated part of the exterior, which is interesting. That will happen sometimes. What happened also is that some of these lines were doubled up, and so it is registering the red edges in certain places instead of the blue and then marking them as hidden. But for example, like this line right here is not a hidden line per se, because it is this line that happens right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the layer colors, visible. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to change the line stroke colors. Not the colors, excuse me, the weights and the line style. So for example, if I grab this line, I want this to be solid. I can go over to properties and I can make the line type continuous. And then it generates just like that. This is a group, so I'm going to ungroup this. And these two lines need to be blue because that's what we're seeing right here. And they also need to be solid. So I'm going to change the display color to blue. I'm going to change the line type to continuous. See what's starting to happen here? We also have these moments where these blocks are starting to stack, but the color changes. We're going to worry more about the color after we get the line work cleaned up, and we can then generate some hatches. So we're going to use hatches for our colors, but when we have a red line meeting a blue line, it doesn't really matter at this moment what color the line is, but we are going to make them solid. So this line becomes solid. This becomes ungrouped. I'm gonna grab this line, line type, continuous. Grab this line, line type, continuous. This line right here is a continuous line as well. Line type, continuous. This line, it's going to be continuous as well. And this line as well is going to be ungrouped. We're going to make it continuous. And so we're just kind of cleaning up what we're seeing. This line is going to be continuous as well. Let's see, this is starting to look a little more accurate. We're going to ungroup this. This becomes continuous. It came out pretty inaccurate for some reason. This line, we're going to ungroup. Because this line right here and this part of this line are hidden. So this, we're going to change this to hidden. This line we're going to bring back. We're going to draw a new line on that same layer. Go ahead and enter. We're going to grab it and we're going to change that to hidden. Well, actually, you know what? It is continuous. So we're going to change that right back. I was thinking about it with the face behind. So this looks much more accurate. And so what we can do now is make new layers, just so we are super sure what we want. Be sure to click out to make these so you're not accidentally making sub layers within your existing layers. And so we're going to do rename layer, visible red, enter, and we'll make this red. We're going to do rename layer, visible blue, make it blue. And then hidden red. Hidden blue. And we're going to make those red and blue. So now we're going to assign the colors we want to those layers. So I can grab this line and type cell there should be that's my bad. It's actually when you right click on it, you grab it, I goofed actually. thinking about AutoCAD, what we have to do is manually grab our lines. So if we start with a visible red, we're going to grab this line. We're going to actually put that on change object layer. What I like to do is I actually like to keep these layers off. So when you move a line, you can see when it moves. These lines right here are actually supposed to be blue. So we can put these on visible blue, change object layer, turn that off. And it looks like there are some lines doubled up, so we can delete our duplicates. This goes on visible blue, change object layer, and I'm determining the colors based on what I'm seeing right here, right? So this line and this line, I think should be red. There's a red triangle right there. This needs ungrouped. So we don't want our hidden and visible lines together. Delete this line. And just we can turn these back on, double check. That is visible blue. And you can hold shift to select multiple at a time. Visible red, we're gonna ungroup. All of these are red. Change object layer. Looks like there's some duplicates. These are all blue right here. Ungroup. If you hold control, you can remove selections. Like I just did with this hidden lines, change object. Then we're gonna grab these last couple visible lines. This drawing cleanup can be kind of tedious. This is probably the most tedious aspect of Rhino. Group. That. Grab that. That. And that. Group. Deselect these. Object layer. This is visible red. Group. And we're almost done. Visible red. Sweet. And I had this on the wrong line, so we're going to change that. That's why I couldn't grab it. All right, so we have all our visible lines organized, taken care of. So we're going to lock those layers. Now we're going to take our hidden red lines. We're going to put these on hidden red, object layer. Turn that off, and then we're going to go hidden blue. Basically just grab all our remaining blue lines. And so what's really funny is these lines have become solid because of the layer they're on, which is the opposite of what I wanted each layer to be. So what we're going to do is now we can go into the line style properties. So if I drag this over the print width, right? So we have color, line type, and print width. And so the line type for all of these layers is set to continuous. So if I do this one layer at a time, for example, this is my hidden blue line, but there's red lines and there's solid lines. The line type is going to be hidden. Color is going to be blue. The print color is going to be blue. And the print width, because they're hidden, I'm going to make it 0.18. Hit OK. And then just, again, put all of these on that hidden blue layer. And then when I grab all of these lines, if I go to properties, we want all of these layer is going to be hidden blue. The display color by layer, line type by layer, print color by layer, and print width by layer. So we're setting the layer properties, and then we're gonna change all the line properties to be whatever the layers properties are set as. So there's all our blue lines that are hidden. Now we can go do our red ones. Turn that off and lock it. So first we'll, again, these are hidden lines, so we want these to be hidden. We want the print color to be red. It's already set. And we're going to do 0.18 for our hidden line weight. And then in properties, all of our layers that are selected, display color by layer, line type by layer, print color by layer, and print width by layer. All right. 2 down, 2 to go. These are our visible blue lines. And you see there's some red stuff in here. We actually are going to explode or ungroup, excuse me, this. Get rid of that line. Grab all of this. Visible blue layer. We want continuous. That's good. We're going to make this, how about 0.3? Just a thicker line, right? Then we're going to go to our properties. Make sure everything is by layer. Enter. Click out of it. And then if we go to visible red, grab all of these lines. This line right here. Go ahead and type trim. This line is not there. Okay. Grab all of these. Continuous. 0.3. And then again, just go through and make sure all of this is by layer. All right, so when we turn these lines on, this is a more accurate drawing of what is going on here. And I just see that right here, we're going to have a hidden red line. So if I go to the hidden red line layer and draw this, it is hidden automatically because we have our layer settings. And so what we have now is our interior and exterior faces are denoted with hidden lines and solid lines. And we can go back into our print display and just double check that everything's looking good. And it is looking good so far. I see a couple of things that I want to just clean up, like this line, for example, is on a locked layer. This curve should go on the visible blue layer. So when I change the object layer, it corrects itself. But other than that, I think what we can start to do is we're going to want our to be interior because we want our interiors to be dark. So all of our blue faces, we want to make dark. And so if we type in hatch, basically what we can do is we can select this, hit enter, click inside regions to keep. And this is where we go through and we pick what faces are blue. So all that's blue. This little triangle right here is blue. This is blue right here. We're going to turn off grid snap so we can get in here, these nooks and crannies. This face is blue. The hidden lines are dividing this, so sometimes you got to click twice for the same face. Sometimes it's like 7 times for the same face. Grab this, and then we know this is blue as well, as is that, and this. And boom, these are all our blue faces, I think. Go ahead and hit enter. And I think it'd be great to have just a nice, just hatch one is a very simple array of lines that makes a nice hatch. And if I want basically these hatches are groups, if I can just grab these, I can make another new layer, name it hatch, and we can set this to be blue. Go ahead and change object layer to that layer. And now we have this blue hatchwork, and this drawing is showing what is happening on the front faces, the back faces. I see some of these. If we go ahead and type cell dupe, these are our duplicated lines, where that means there's a line right on top of another line exactly like it. So if we hit delete, that'll just make life a little easier. I just want to change some more of these lines. That line I think should be red. And yeah, I mean, this looks pretty great. So what we can do is we can type, if we go down to our black and white Axon sheet, this has come together, and we can type print display state on. And what we can do is start to grab some of these. Perhaps I did not make the difference. If I make this hatch like hairline, as well as a couple of these, if I bump these up to like 0.6, let's bump each of these up to 0.6. And it looks as if try again, hitting print display. Oh, state off, toggle on, thickness 100. There we go. Now we can start to see some differences. We want to set this to be maybe 0.25. I'm going to pause this for just a moment, figure out what is happening. Sorry about that. It would appear I just was zoomed in uh, really far and you couldn't see the differences, but I fixed that, and so that shouldn't be a problem on your end. For example, we have these line weights, and it looks like some of these lines are kind of thick. So what we can do is, like, for example, the visible blue, what happens if I bump this down to 0.13, see how that drops back. And if we want like our hatch, it's set to default right now. Let's make that hairline. And the hatch displays a little differently than the lines, but if we grab our hidden lines and drop those to hairline, our hidden red drops down. If we grab our hidden blue layer and grab this and drop that down to hairline, you can see how it starts to change. And our visible red is pretty beefy relative to our blue. And so this is kind of what the default looks like. But when we change that over in here, we can start to really see what's going on. So if we hide our hatch for a minute, let's play with our visible print widths. Print display. Oops, sorry, print display. We want our state to be on. Enter. And this shows up a lot better in the top view. But if we start to just bump these up, 0.3 seemed a little too heavy. But if we do 0.25 and 0.25, have our hatch on, and then have our hidden lines at hairline. We can also change, because this is supposed to be a black and white drawing, we're going to change our print color for all of these layers to black. It's going to go through, change our print layers to black. And so this is going to show you what your print is going to look like. And so this is a really nice hatched Axon for black and white. And we can use this line work when we bring it into Illustrator for your color drawing in the next video, but this looks pretty clean. Honestly, with this particular view, the zoom has a pretty intense effect on the line weights. So it could be distorted based on how your zoom is functioning. So please like zoom in to get a better look at this. One final thing that we might do is we're going to curve Boolean this. Curve Boolean. And highlight all of your lines. Hit enter. We're going to grab the outside. Go ahead and hit enter. And this exterior line, we're going to bring up to a new layer. We're going to call this outline. Change object layer. And we're going to bump this line weight up to 0.35. All right. And so we click out of that. You can see it goes from the display within Rhino to when you click out of it. This is the print display that we have set. And so our layout color and our layout print color are different from our display color, which is set in our views. But yeah, here in the top view, just having an outline. So if I turn these off, this is our outline, and we want that line to follow everything by layer. Okay. We just want this print width to be 125, hit OK. And so that's going to make a thicker line. And this is just something that we like to do, is have the outline of our drawing show up a little thicker than everything else. And that will translate into this drawing when it updates in our settings. Oop, I've undocked my layers by accident. I want to put it back, please. Thank you. And so we want our layout prints. So we're gonna change our layout colors to black as well, just to make sure everything is looking good. And this is how you can just quickly generate line work. I tried to take it nice and slow so you guys could follow along, but each of our layers has a line weight. We're going to bump up the layer order just so our outline is above. And it doesn't read as well on our print width, but when you kind of zoom in, you can start to see some of these different layers. So this curve, properties, everything is by layer. And just one more time back in our top view, this looks really good. And so you can take this layout and you'll go to file and you'll hit print, and it will, I'm obviously not in Knowlton right now, but it will pull up the Knowlton plotters, and you can set that to be your 18 by 18 drawing. I believe it will have to be printed on an 18 by 24, which is an Arch C, and then you will manually trim it with a knife, and it'll be really good, but it looks great. This is how you make your black and white drawing. So we'll be around to answer any questions. In the next video, we're going to talk about how to get this into Illustrator and Live Paint. So that'll be really fun.